Okay, I'm ready. Hi. Before I go up into the Arctic, I'm going to give you a little bit about my past before I came to Tromsø. And before that, I was studying life on the rocks, and that's the title of my talk today, in the Pacific Ocean mainly. And what about life on the rocks? What makes them so important? Rocks are tiny islands in all over the ocean on our planet are very important. And I'm going to move to the Pacific Ocean and to the Galapagos specifically. So as we zoom in, we see this teeny tiny rock right here, circled in red. And this is where I lived and worked for a while. And it's only 300 meters wide, and it's very small. And so there's an importance about how these small rocks are. And if you zoom in even closer, you can see how diverse they are. And one of the reasons why they're so diverse is because they're surrounded by abundant food sources in the water around these islands. And so I'm going to show you some of my pictures during my time spent in the Galapagos. And so as scientists, when you learn about what we do and how we perform our research, sometimes you don't get to hear about all the fun stuff and how complicated it is and how much crap you actually have to take to a small rock just to do your work, and how everything has to be quarantined and it looks like you're carrying garbage out to this tiny rock. And so we spent the reason why we were out there is that we were studying population abundances of Galapagos sea lions specifically. So we mark individuals and we count them. We see who's giving birth, who's coming back, and who's surviving. And that gives us an idea of population trends. Are populations growing or are they declining through time? And we spent a lot of time out there, and we spent about 5 months consecutively with little to no power, little contact with the outside world, no toilet, no running water. And so you might think that it was very calm and peaceful and everything was, divided, and you can go out and collect your research, and at the end of the day you can sit with your cup of coffee and have a nice relaxing evening. But it's chaos because sea lions, like us, they have individual behavior, right? And so animals, it's very important to keep your tent door closed because if the sea lions really like shade. And so if you don't keep your door closed, they're going to come into your tent and they're going to roll around and they're going to shit all over your sleeping bag, and without any fresh water, you're really out of luck. And if they're not coming into your tent, they're going to sleep on your tent. And there's many times where they're chasing each other around your tents at night, and they're snoring, and they're really loud. And ladies, you know what I'm talking about. So you push them. You're like, maybe you can just shut up. And then they fart really loud, and they just keep snoring some more. So every night was a real adventure. And it's not even the big guys, it's the small guys, the 1 to 4-year-olds that like to come in and they like to take your pen, or they like to sleep on your jacket if you need it. And they're very curious animals. And while they look very playful here, it's important to know that they're wild, and you can easily get bit. And I've lived to tell the tale. And so you might wonder, where do you take a bath on this small little rock? Well, we actually have to share the tidal pools with these sea lions, and they're just as curious above land and beneath the water. And so they actually come in and they're like, "What are you doing here? Like, it's my tidal pool. Like, I want to swim too." And so you're there, you're naked with your showering things, and you're just like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" And so you might wonder where we go to the bathroom on this rock. So on the other side of the islet, there's a strong tidal area, and so that's where we go. But you can see the obstacles it takes to get there. You have to navigate through sea lions and marine iguanas and large rocks that are slippery, and you can easily fall and scrape your knees. And so every 4 weeks we get a food drop. 4 months we wouldn't survive. But under the food tent, it's chaos also. You have these Darwin's finches that like to, drink your tea when you're not watching, or the land iguana that eats the last of your fresh food, so you're with tinned meat for the rest of the time period. Or you have a sea lion that really likes to keep its territory of toilet paper. So we're going to transition a little bit into science and why this archipelago is so important. So really the take-home message here is that the bright colors indicate marine productivity. And what I mean by that is that this productivity translates to really abundant food resources, not only for sea lions, but for other predators. So the Galapagos specifically are a really high marine productive area. So from the islet that I worked on Camano, you can tag these sea lions, these females that are depicted in the colors, and you can see that they indeed utilize this spatial area of the Galapagos Island archipelago, and they also go to deep depths looking for food like sardines and other types of fish. And you can take these same individuals and look how they haul out and rest on different rocks and islands through the archipelago. And what that indicates is that maybe they're taking rest from deep dives, they're avoiding predation by sharks, or in my hypothesis, they're taking a break from their kids, because sea lion young are really, really needy and whiny. But in the Pacific Ocean in particular, there's one atmospheric event called the El Nino effect that not only just has climate effects, but it affects global weather. And in fact, in the Galapagos and around the equator, it actually warms the sea surface temperature, depicted on this red and white. And so the reason that these can be really important is that they found that after strong El Nino events, such as up here, you see in the triangles that the sea lion population in the archipelago really drops down to about below 200 individuals. And this just shows how much sea lions are linked to the productivity, because when they're hunting for food, a lot of their fish will go deeper in those El Nino years, and it's too deep for the sea lions to access their prey. And so this is just another figure of these pups that are produced. And so you can see before the 97, 98 El Nino events, there were a lot of pups produced, but as the water got warmer and things started to drop down lower, 90% of these pups died. And so I just wanted to give you I guess an overview of what it was like there, and being kind of one of these researchers among many thousands of different animals, and how it was really important to just be a part of that space and realize that how important these rocks are throughout the Galapagos. And this is just a toss-up. These are just some marine iguanas, and how important they are in terms of the whole ecosystem, and they're really sun worshipers, and they're kind of my spirit animal. And I think in Norwegians we can maybe relate to being sun worshipers and really just point to wherever the sun is. And so with that, thank you so much for your time.